Yes, welcome in to the Planet Scum 2-hour big game broadcast. So happy to have you with us. For the next 2 hours, I'll be reporting all of the greatest sports news going today. And of course, we'll be taking your calls a little bit later for anything that you've been hearing in the sports world. I'm Bryson Wallace, and I'm looking forward to spending the next 2 hours with you. It's the day of the big game, of course. We'll get into the big game a little bit later. Want to say hi to Dog Boobs, We Are Trash People, Darren Plays Bad, Inspector SJ, The Mines of Moria. If you're out there, let us know. Let us know in the chat. Want to thank K-Scum Sports for bringing you this broadcast this year. Good folks at K-Scum Sports. We're live streaming on Twitch. We're simulcasting on K-Scum Radio. And you can find us anywhere in the world. Join K-Scum Sports and the rest of the K-Scum family over at planetscum.live. Darren Plays Bad, good to see you. Let's get right into it. Let's report some of the hottest sports news that we've got going today. Simulcasting Mines of Moria means that we're on multiple avenues. We're streaming here live on Twitch, but K-Scum Sports is our new home, streaming live there on K-Scum Radio. But wanted to let you all know you can join Planet Scum at planetscum.live. That's the place that you can go to join all of the rest of the trash people at Planet Scum. Should give a big shout out to our trash people. But let's get right into the sports news. You might have heard this one. The University of Tampa announced today that they have come to the terms of Mud Luggin's release after 7 years as head coach. Chuck Hutmusket, his assistant coaching single-handedly carried the Peacocks to the championship ring around 5. And Muddy Luggs had been spotted pro bono coaching for the Squids. Muddy Luggs brought on Chuck Hutmusket last year to assistant coach of the team. And you know, you would think that they would have had a mentor-mentee dynamic. But that's not what ended up happening in this past season. This past season, Chuck Hutmusket was single-handedly leading the team, and Muddy Luggins just, you got to think there might have been something more to that story. There must have been something between those two. Must have been something between those two that just didn't work out this past season. And the Squids are in good shape. Muddy Luggins pro bono coaching for them is that's definitely going to bring them into a new dynamic this year. But you hate to see him leave Tampa. Tampa, however, in just as capable hands with Chuck Hutmusket, and you got to think at some point those two teams might go up against each other, whether or not Muddy Luggins stays pro bono coaching, or if it turns into something more permanent. You might see the two of them in the finals, in the final championship round. Dog Boobs offering up in the chat, Thick Nick Monroe is such a champion. Can't doubt that. Can't doubt that one bit. People are hoping that I'm hydrating. I certainly am. I've got multiple ways of hydrating today. Thank you for your concern. Dog Boobs said, oh man, where's Chuck Hutmusket been? He's been coaching. He's been coaching Tampa single-handedly. Now we got Bad Luck Tuffy. This past weekend, newly acquired Ottawa Dang quarterstack Stan Tuffy Jackson only managed 2 sacks, resulting in a failed combo. His syrup wasn't full maple, and he decaffed his one shot at a slam. Things ended poorly when the opposing team dipped 40 quarters to split the decision in their favor. Stan Tuffy Jackson, he's a real fall from grace story. I want to go to this information here. Stan Tuffy Jackson, he's a quarterstack, of course, now for the Ottawa Dang. Last season, he averaged 4 sacks and 5 assists. He's got 63 career goals, 25 career governs in the final round. He was the 2019 MVP. That was when he was on the Pomeranians. He, of course, a couple months ago was traded to the Ottawa Dang. Mines Amoria saying full maple or bust. Yeah, he did take it full maple. Stan Tuffy Jackson, however, not full maple. Not full maple. Now, the Ottawa Dang, speaking of them, Stan Tuffy Jackson, he has an opportunity today to bring it all back, to redeem himself. That's, of course, the big game that everybody's looking at today. I know today is the one day a year that everybody looks, their eyes are peeled onto the biggest game of the day. And that, of course, is the matchup today between the Lake Erie Mudbutts and the Ottawa Dang. Stan Tuffy Jackson, you got to think that he might be in a bad headspace, but he has nothing to lose going into this game. The Mudbutts, of course, are just on a roll. I'm the biggest critic of the Mudbutts. Everybody would know that. If you follow my career, you know that I have had a tense relationship with the Mudbutts and Mudbutts fans. But today in the big game, the big championship game, with Ottawa Dang's quarter stack really not playing with a full stack, even I would be hard-pressed to bet against the Mudbutts. I want to know your thoughts. Let us know in the chat. Jess Klon offering up, the Dang have no dang chance. This game later on, it's expected that millions of people will be watching. And you'd be hard-pressed to think that when the bright lights are on and the price is right, that the Mudbutts have to be able to deliver tonight. Darren Plays Bad offering up, the Ottawa Dang hasn't been nearly as good since they traded Jarn Manderd, in my opinion. I could see that. But Stan Tuffy's just not playing a full game right now. Mines Amoria offering up, Mudbutts always deliver right when you least expect it. The Mudbutts they are a silent killer. They'll creep up on you when you least expect it. Tar McClartarf, in other news, pulled another spleamer doing a double skip pull in last Thursday's Orange Cup Championship, resulting in a narrow victory in the Stevensville Shake Buskets. If you're a Stevensville fan, you really got to be looking to Tar McClartarf to really pull another game out for you, because that's another team that really needs a win. And Tar McClartarf gave it to them. But they're in a deficit right now. We are Trash People offering, look, you win a game by scoring more points than the other team, and I don't think the Dang understand that. And I don't know, again, I would be the toughest critic of the Mudbutts. I am the toughest critic of the Mudbutts. But what you got to understand is that there's no dang chance that the Dang pull this out. All money seems to lead to the Butts. And, of course, that game's going on today, the Mudbutts and the Ottawa Dang. That's in Ottawa. We would bring you coverage of it. However, unfortunately, we do not have coverage of that game going on today. So if folks in the chat would mind letting me know how that Lake Erie Mudbutts Ottawa Dang game is going, I'll be reporting the other news, but if you guys can let me know how that game is going. The Mudbutts deserve criticism, but they leave it all on the field, says We Are Trash People. You can't deny the butt. You certainly can't. Brute McScore's in the news. Brute McScore was drafted to the Massachusetts Draft's third pick for the Egbert Fantasy League. This guy won the Gold Bowl last year. So you have to think that the Massachusetts drafts, that must have gone into their decision. That had to have gone in their decision. Everyone, he was a hot free agent, this McScore, especially off of that Gold Bowl win last year. And, you know, I don't know if it was in the budget necessarily for the Massachusetts drafts. I know that they had to make some cuts last year. Maybe they were prepping for McScore. Dave Cohen offering up, we've been hearing a lot of friction in the Mudbutts locker room. Can you get behind those rumors? Well, Dave, there's a lot going behind in the Mudbutts locker room. You hear news of their defensive line not exactly getting along with their skippers. But at the end of the day, the skippers always end up delivering. The defense always ends up delivering. So as far as those rumors are concerned, I would say probably best not to even worry about them if the team is just delivering single-handedly. Now, if there was some sort of controversy going on in the club, that's when you'd have my ear. But as far as right now, I don't think so. Fans of the Dangs, thanks for the follow. Dog Boob's offering up. Bryson, did your rocky history with the Mudbutts have anything to do with the Bindi Dando controversy? A lot of people, you can go back to some of the editorials that I wrote about the whole Dando situation. I've gone on record to say that everything that was going on with the Dando family, that was not okay in my book. And in fact, in my book about the Dando controversy, which ran a lot deeper than I think a lot of people understood. A lot of people were critical of me writing as many op-eds as I did, going as far as putting out a book about the Dandos. But really, when you take a look at it, there was more going on behind the scenes there. And it really impacted the Mudbutts. And, you know, honestly, I couldn't wipe that away from my relationship as a journalist for the Mudbutts. Really tainted the organization for me. Fan of the Dang, #1 Dang fan here in the chat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Jess Klon offering up, I'm a Butts fan through and through, but I can't get behind what Tommy Knocker did in the preseason. Tommy Knocker, of course, as many people know, just a lot of stupid decisions on that guy's part. Spent most of his signing bonus on a ridiculous yacht party, all in the papers. A lot of controversy surrounds the Butts. And it's part of what goes into my philosophy when talking about the Butts. They're just so much, they're a great team. I've said this before, they're a great team. There's just so much of a reputation around that team that you'd be hard-pressed to think of, I wouldn't be comfortable wearing their jersey. A lot of people are. I don't mean to offend those people. But if you're gonna sport the Butts, you gotta understand that there's a reputation that goes along with that. Noah Turnam, I don't know how to say your name. Hooter McGavins was way out of line with the whole Bindi Dango thing. You're not the only one at fault here. Hey, again, I've gone, you can go and buy my books about the whole Dango situation. I don't necessarily want to get into the Dando situation. I don't want to get into the whole Dando thing here. We've treaded that whole situation. I've gone on record about what I thought about the Dando family. But I don't think that, I don't necessarily think that where you're pointing the finger is necessarily fair. Hooter Hard Beef is a clown. Hashtag go Dangs. That comes from Fan of the Dangs. Listen, Hooter Hard Beef is just one of the hardest working players on the Mudbutts. And if any of you are familiar with my broadcast, you would know it's sort of preposterous to hear me root for the Butts, but against the Dang, Hard Beef's got it. Hard Beef's got it this year. And I don't think that the Dang have any clue what to do with Hard Beef. Darren Plays Bad offering up. Tommy Knocker robbed the Jack in the Box by my house. Tommy Knocker is all bad news, but on the field, he is nothing but good news. And that's why the Butts keep him. A lot of people defending Hooter Hard Beef in the chat. Can't believe the Minnesota Lighthouses lost their appeal over whether the rules say a dog can't play the sport. That was a big controversy. They took it to I believe a federal court. And, you know, the rules were ambiguously written. And I think that was intentional. But at the end of the day, interspecies play was the concern of the league. And as much as the Minnesota Lighthouses and their fan favorite canine player were making a big deal out of it, it has to be said that there is an aspect of that might have been a publicity stunt. The Lighthouses haven't been a part of the conversation all year. And a way to get into that conversation is to challenge the league, take it to the commissioner's office, which the whole county of commissioners reviewed the bylaws. There was nothing that said anything about interspecies play. However, you got to think about how is a team going to be able to accurately defend against a different species. That was the ambiguity of the case. That's what the federal court had to decide. They're still tied up in litigation right now. We'll see whether or not that dog will be able to play. Dog Boob's offering up. There's been some rumblings from the minor leagues about a kid named Kolka Knip from out east. Heard the Dang might draft him. I'm not familiar with that name. He must be relatively new to the minor leagues. Mind you, the coverage that I provide is more on a national level. If anybody has YouTube clips of Kolka Knip, I'd love to see him. Pass them on through in Planet Scum. Which reminds me, should let you know, Big Game Broadcast, of course, presented by K-Scum Sports. The Game Day Masters of Sports Radio. Join the team today at planetscum.live. Nip achieved like 17 moon spells in the first semester, so okay, Dog Boobs. I'm not doubting you. I would love to see evidence of this Nip. I'd love to see tape. I'm a man that studies tape. So bring it to me, and I will assure you that I will take a look at him. In other sports news, Ned Topower's dominant new perfume line sent to moi Ned. I probably screwed that up. Secured fourth straight week locker room contracts with both the GHBA and the FHBA. And topping this month's Smell of Smells list for the boy/girl athletes. But the question remains, is the perfume safe? Topower, still playing. He's a mogul at this point. A real genuine mogul. He debuts this perfume line, and it jumps off the shelves with his celebrity, with his really his platform that he has. The problem is that some sort of chemical manipulation that causes the perfume to smell so great. In fact, we were passing around some of it here at the K-Scum Sports Studios. There's something to do, though, with the chemical makeup of that perfume, resulting in some rashes, and especially when you have locker room contracts at the scale of the GHBA and the FHBA. You got to think about if that has an impact on performance. These athletes are required to use all of the products that get signed to the locker room contracts. So if you're requiring them to use a perfume that will present a pandemic of rashes, whether or not you're even the one that uses them, I don't think people understand that either. You can be in open air with somebody who has. If you're in open air with this substance, it results in very aggressive rashing. So I'm sure they're going to investigate that. There's no avoiding an investigation into the perfume line. Ned Topower will probably just slap his name onto something else. He's been known to do that. He jumps from venture to venture. This perfume line's just his latest thing. So you got to think that even if this goes to investigation, the product just might be dumped. He's done it before. Dave Cohen offering up Topower releasing a perfume made sense to me. Bruce Falco asking, what does a perfume smell like? Haven't tried it yet. We had a bottle. No, we don't have it. Okay. We had a bottle. It was sort of an elderberry birchwood with a mint finish. It feels weird to say a mint finish. Would you agree that it's a mint finish? Yeah, that's the only way to really describe it. But at this point, I can't recommend it. However, the smell, if there was any way that they could capture that smell, boy, I'd be in business. I'll put my name on that, but not while it's giving rashes. Talking about the Ottawa Dang there in action tonight against the Lake Erie Mudbutts. Their longtime backup holder, Rutger Nuts, will retire. He just announced this. He'll retire at the end of the year after securing the record for 674 games without playing. Fond farewell to the greatest to never do it. Nuts will not be in action tonight, but you'll see him there on the track up against the Lake Erie Mudbutts. If any of you have any favorite moments of Rutger Nuts, let us know. Dave Cohen offering up, Nuts always has it in the bag. Rutger Nuts, a true icon, says the Minds of Moria. Listen, you got to think that this retirement is a long time coming. 674 games is a whole heck of a lot. What does this mean for the Ottawa Dang? I've already said that I think that they're not playing with a full deck today. This is yet another reason. Got a lot of injuries, got a lot of issues going on with that team. And, you know, they're still not putting in Rutger Nuts. After all this time, they're still not putting in Nuts. Speaking of injuries, a lot of you following the big game today. Again, let us know of what's going on in that big game, because I don't have the TVs here like I normally do. But we've got some exclusive injuries to report. After a freak accident on the play track that sent Squirt McDougal to the hospital last game, the Lake Erie Mudbutts find themselves with a surprise hole in the middle of their defense. But who can the Butts count on to fill that hole? So the Lake Erie Mudbutts as well working with a little bit of a deficit. Bit of a deficit in the butts. Fan of the Dangs offering up. I would be thrilled if the Dang signed Nip. Dude has solid beef tips, which is one of the best Dang skills you could ever achieve. That could happen. I could see that happening. You got to feel bad for Squirt McDougal, though. I haven't heard any reports as to what the injuries were that were sustained. We know that he's in the hospital. We'll provide you with further updates as they become available. But the defense in the butts is completely lacking going into this game. It's going to be their skippers that really pull this out, I think. Mine's Moria offering, I think Squirt slipped in the kitchen. Again, I don't like going into rumor and innuendo. But I hope Squirt's okay. I hope he'll make it back. He's certainly out for this big game, we've heard, but you'd hope to see him by next season. Another injury update regarding the butts. Unfortunate news. Nagging injuries have resulted in coaches limiting the amount of on-field time for Peter P.P. Petit heading into this solstice. Defensive coach Neb Grounder was quoted as saying, 3 to 4 minutes of good PP is better than none at all. It's unfortunate news, but you're still going to have him there on the track tonight. And as I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the mud butts, but with PP, the butts can do anything. Dog Boob's offering. My question is, do you blame them? I don't blame them for limiting. I don't blame them for limiting Petit. They're looking out for him. They want to make sure that he's here for next solstice. You can talk all you want about winning this big game today, but they're nothing. They're nothing without PP. That's the injury reports that affect today's big game between the Lake Erie Mudbutts and the Ottawa Dang. We have more injury reports that we'll get into later. What I want to do is I think it's a good time to open up the phone lines. So go ahead and give us a call now. 909-454-3862. That's the number to call. Talk about any of the sports news that you want to talk about. Any sports news, whether it's, if you have updates for the Mudbutts in Ottawa Dang, I would love them. Love to see them. We're getting a call right now. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida. What's your name?
My name is Sally Jones.
Great. I was going to ask for a first and last. All right, Sally.
Perfect.
Sally, what is it that you want to talk about tonight? A lot of sports news going on.
Well, I saw in the stream chat a little bit about this gas station shakedown between the Stevensville Shake Buskets starting line boy Sean Biggins and rookie Elfo Shirt. And I'm just curious, what do you think about it? Do you blame them?
I don't.
For the gas station shakedown?
I don't blame them. There was a sort of kerfuffle at the gas station. And I don't like getting into what players do on their own personal time. However, what they do on their personal time is certainly reflective of their professional lives. I personally would love to see the Stevensville Shake Buskets look into the situation, and if suspensions are necessary, it's only to protect the integrity of the league. Now, are you a Stevensville Shake Buskets fan?
Well, that's where I'm undecided. I used to be, but this gas station shakedown really got me shook.
And what does it mean for you for the Shake Buskets? They could potentially lose your support, I imagine.
Absolutely.
And, you know, they're already working with. They've had a great season, and I'm trying to dance around this delicately because I want to find a way to point out that they're a good team that suffers from bad circumstances. And I think that's
so true.
I think that's, we've talked about that with the Mudbutts as well. You see a lot of parallels here. But, they've had an incredible run of games, and this gas station shakedown was truly it was a raw street fight. And there's no reason for that sort of behavior to be presented by professional athletes of their stature.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bryson. I want you to know I listen to your show every solstice. I so appreciate you taking my call.
A lot of people tell me that, and I appreciate you listening in. Listen, give the Stevensville Shake Buskets another chance. The individuals you can hold accountable, but the organization, there's a lot of good people in the back office there. Still give them a shot and give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll do the right thing in this situation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening. All right, taking more of your calls. Feel free to call in 909-454-3862. We are Trash People offering up. Oh, don't get me started on the gas station shakedown. A lot of people upset with what went down there. And, you have to think that there will be this investigation. They will decide the future of those teams. It's just an unfortunate situation for a great team. Taking another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Chip. I'm calling from San Francisco, California.
Chip from San Francisco. Great to hear from you. What would you like to talk about?
I'd like to circle the conversation back to a little bit of the Mudbutts and the whole PP situation, the whole PP injury.
Oh, yeah.
Fiasco.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts? They're at a deficit right now with limited amount of time that they can put PP on the field.
I hear you, man. Bucks have a really big deficit right in the middle of that defense. And it's because PP is getting injured all the time. I heard this story. I know I don't want to spread rumors here. I heard that PP lost a lot of weight in the offseason, and now he's a little skinnier than he used to be, a little more slender. So I'm saying, I don't know, does PP's new skinny frame have anything to do with him being injured? Now he just can't last in the game.
A lot of people have been saying that there has been a retreat in the performance of the PP, and
I think so.
And you got to think that he has a reputation of being injury prone. They knew this when he was on the Pomeranians. He was another signee from the Pomeranians. But
yeah, he was big on the Pomeranians. PP was big on the Pomeranians. I remember that.
But now not so hot. Not so hot on the Mudbutts. And
it's awfully cold.
Awfully cold. And a lot of people have been saying that when it's almost as if it's a temperature thing. When he's in colder climates, when games are in colder climates, you have these big snow out games. And when he's in those colder climates, he seems to retreat. And
I agree.
And a lot of people look to him to lead the team, but a lot of times he's not up for performing. And
I know, man.
There's a lot of allegations of drug use, performance stimulants.
Yeah.
But I think what the defensive coach, Ned Grounder, his approach has definitely been to just limit his play time. And that seems to be the happy balance from the drug abuse that has come with PP in the past. Ned Grounder has done his best to get PP clean and then limit his play time to where he can work at the absolute highest level that you expect from PP. But
I get that. But we need more PP. Coach is limiting PP to maybe 3-4 minutes a game. We need way more PP than that for the Bucks to succeed.
But you understand that this is a stamina issue. He was working at the extent that you're expecting him. That was when he was at his highest levels of drug abuse. It's been written about.
During those summer months.
It's been written about. So it's smart of Coach Grounder to keep PP as limited as possible. And that's just what goes into that decision. I don't mean to over-explain it for you, but those are the thoughts that go into that sort of decision. It's not made lightly. You do not limit PP lightly. You got to make these decisions full force and hard, and they're tough decisions to make. But that's why you're not seeing as much PP on the field.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we need to give PP even more stimulants, but I'm a tax-paying member of my community, and I want to see PP on the field.
Listen, and I know that there's a lot of, I mean, you're in San Francisco, though. Your taxes do not go to Lake Erie.
Hey, don't you tell me where my taxes go.
Well, okay, there's no need to get aggressive with me. I'm just saying that I know that within this league, a lot of local tax money does go to the teams, but they go to the local teams. Your funds would more likely go to the Mark Buskets.
Mark Buskets, Mark Buckets. I want PP. I want PP on my team.
Did you grow up in the Lake Erie area?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
Grew up
so
always being a Bucks fan since I was a little boy, little Buck.
Okay.
Now I'm a big Bucks fan.
Now I see where this is going. You're probably, I'm sensing a bit of aggression in your call, and I think it's probably that you're just picking up on my long history of being anti-Butts. And I just want you to know right now, I'm here to have a conversation with you.
Well, as am I.
I don't need this to get aggressive. I don't need this to get, anything, but I appreciate your call. And I hope that you can understand, as somebody that is very critical of the Mudbutts, I can tell you that I understand this decision, that this makes a lot of sense to me. On paper, you got to think that Neb Grounder has PP's best interests in mind.
Man, I hope so. I'm just tired. I just need PP to play well. I've been a fan for a long time Bucks fan, long time PP fan. And I'm just tired of him disappearing during the winter solstice every year.
And like I said,
shows up.
It's just a
during the summer.
He does.
He's a pillar of stability, an absolute pillar of stability in the summer solstice. In the winter, I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling here, but I just.
Well, you have a point. He retreats and he ends up more so going inside, possibly to the locker room. He's just not as visible in the winter. So anyway, I hope that you appreciate the 3 to 4 minutes that you get each game. I assure you it's in PP's best interest. Thank you so much for the call.
All right, go Bucks. Woo!
All right, still taking your calls. 909-454-3862. Dave Cohen offering up in the chat. PP just isn't hard enough to get the job done. He's injury prone. I'll tell you. He's very injury prone. Fan of the Dangs offering, I would be... Oh, no, we already went over that one. PP is the league's golden boy, so the Butts need PP to get there, says Weird Trash People. And again, we got the big matchup today, the biggest game going on today, Mudbutts versus the Ottawa Dang. Will we see PP on the field? Will we see PP on the field? Or will Tuffy Jackson really turn things around for the Ottawa Dang? Tuffy Jackson has nothing to lose today. PP has everything to lose. Call in now, 909-454-3862. ADA Grace 42 says, unless he's in Oakland, we can't forget about the Oakland front bottoms. Might be where his tax dollars are going. That could be. I don't know exactly the ratio of where the taxes go. But we got more news for you. Let's go to a quick, you hate to see it. The historic Los Angeles Sepulvedas and the Sacramento Wet Ropes rivalry is heating up ahead of the 2020 Spring Classic Series. Reports from both cities indicate a significant level of unrest as both teams share call-out TikToks with each other. The JFL Sportsmanship Commission is likely to be convened to determine whether this kind of social media stinking is out of bounds. You see these Sepulvedas and these Wet Ropes. Again, there's a lot of these personal beefs. And I commend the Sportsmanship Commission for their upcoming investigation. They will probably write more conventions, memos of understanding that limit the amount of trash talk that can be made on TikTok. Whenever we have one of these new platforms, it always presents an issue for the JFL. They got to figure out a new platform as soon as it's formed, because their players inevitably leak right into it, and they send their bile out on whatever these new social platforms are. So again, the Sepulvedas and Wet Ropes. I don't recommend looking up the TikToks. I don't want to condone that sort of behavior. They are out there. The JFL is looking into it. Let us know your thoughts. Call in now, 909-454-3862. If you saw one of these TikToks, let me know. Jess Klon offering up. Connor Salamander had a TikTok the other day that was iffy at best. See, I'm not familiar with these TikToks. I saw a compilation that our staff showed me prepping for today, but a lot of lip syncing and then just talking trash about their opponents afterwards. A lot of vile things said about people's extended family members. That was the part that made me uncomfortable. Super Turco, what are we talking about? We're talking about the big game, Super Turco. We're talking about all the biggest game news. Taking your calls just like this caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Mud butts.
These people call in almost all the time chanting mud butts. And I didn't stand for it in my previous broadcast. I'm not going to stand for it now. Again, biggest critic of the mud butts. I'm rooting for them today. Only because, not so much rooting, but I expect them to win today. So if you calling in just to ruin my broadcast by chanting mud butts just proves everything that I've said about the institution before of the fan base being the most problematic part. The fans of the mud butts do the mud butts a disservice. Going to go to another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? Caller?
Shandy from Pittsburgh.
Shandy from Pittsburgh. All right, folks, let me know if this makes the audio robotic, but Shandy, we're here to listen to you. What do you want to talk about today?
Hey, thanks. I kind of want to go back to that story about the TikToks and the JFL Sportsmanship Committee. I want to get your thoughts on how do you feel about their reaction being so strong to this TikTok thing? But last year when the Mudbutts pulled that LinkedIn blackout for the guerrilla marketing campaign for their new solstice, nobody said anything.
Listen, the LinkedIn thing was a marketing strategy from the team directly. What we're dealing with this TikTok situation is that you have individuals going into business for themselves and making the league, the division, and I'd say the club itself look bad. These individuals are performing in such a way, they're behaving in such a way that is not professional. It is certainly aggressive in nature. And what I'd like to see is for everyone to play it cool, because what's not okay is to threaten what's not okay is to threaten your opponent's families. And that's what was going on in TikTok. They were doing little lip syncs to "I want you back."
Well,
and then
here's my problem with that. While the LinkedIn blackout might have been a marketing scheme, but I mean, the things that resulted from it, we have the national threat level was raised to orange after that. It was not clear that it was a marketing campaign. Lots of families were scared for their lives after the Mudbutts LinkedIn fiasco last year. I think there should have been a statement.
Oh, and I agree with you. There's certainly an aspect of the Mudbutts LinkedIn blackout was something that I went on record saying that they should have been more clear in their messaging ahead of time so that there wasn't all of that public unrest that ended up happening. That I think you're totally fair there. They should have had better communication heading into that campaign than they actually did. You are absolutely right. The threat level was raised. You are absolutely right that it was wildly inappropriate for people to be made to feel that unsafe. The team came out afterwards and apologized. They revoked the rest of the campaign. There was like 5 or 6 more weeks of that campaign that were planned. That was a big investment on the case of the Mudbutts. And again, I'm the biggest critic of the Mudbutts, but I can tell you right now, there's a difference between the two situations because the Mudbutts saw the error in their ways and immediately made preventions against it. What we have in this TikTok case is that even today, I'm sure right now, you could look up any of these players from Sacramento or Los Angeles. They're still posting TikToks. They're still threatening each other's families. And over a JFL championship, I'm not sure if that's appropriate. I know that it's not appropriate. And so I can't condone that behavior. I get what you're saying about the Mudbutts LinkedIn blackout. They've apologized. They revoked everything near immediately. And what you're seeing here in Los Angeles and Sacramento and all of California is that they just keep posting these rather violently aggressive TikToks. And that's the difference for me as a professional.
Thanks, man. You know, I feel like the JFL should have more people like you on, man. You're always, fair, and I know you're coming from a good place. So I said thanks for what you do.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. The JFL, they won't have me. They won't have me. But I do speak truth to power, and I'm gonna be straightforward with you. So I appreciate the kind words, and I will keep fighting the good fight in the sports world. Gonna go to another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? This is Toddy calling from Pittsburgh.
Toddy, so good to hear from you. Longtime caller to the show. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I have a couple of things on my mind. First and foremost, I just kind of want to make a comment on what you had mentioned before. You're talking about the LinkedIn blockout and with the Mudbutts, they apologized, revoked the campaign. You even mentioned that they had 4 or 5 weeks left of that or whatever it was. And they said, you know what, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. But with this with this new TikTok, family and everything like that, I feel like that's something you can't put the can back on the jar of worms. Even if they did come out, apologize like the JFL in front of the big game, apologize for that. Those types of threats, you just can't put the lid back on something like that.
And I hear you. I hear you. A lot of people seem to have a lot of passionate feelings about this situation. It feels weird for me to be defending the Mudbutts here, and it's not so much that I'm defending them. It's just that we're trying to draw illusions between the two situations. And I get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from. But again, if the TikToks had stopped by now, we could have the conversation of this being similar to the LinkedIn blackout on the Mudbutts. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that we are still threatening families on TikTok, and that's not cool, especially when you associate that with a lip sync to one of the new songs from Frozen. Yeah. That's A, inappropriate and aggressive. It's B, you're attracting a younger audience by lip syncing Elsa songs. And you're just exposing everybody to aggressive behavior that has no business in the league.
Yeah, and the whole JFL. And as I mentioned, I'm from Pittsburgh, and you know what we feel about the Mudbutts down here. So I'm not for condoning any of this behavior too. Personally, I thought with the TikTok scenario, them lip syncing from Frozen
Though I might have lost you there, Toddy. Looks like
Hello,
I lost.
you still with me?
Oh, I'm still with you.
Okay, sorry about that. Probably some, mud butts interfering again with the stream. The thing that I was mentioning, how they were lip syncing songs from Frozen 1. Well, there's a Frozen 2 out there. There could be another team that lip sync songs from Frozen 2. That's something we don't know yet, and that's why I said you just can't put the lid back on the jar of worms. That's just my point.
Well, I appreciate it, Toddy. Thank you so much for calling. Call back anytime.
Sure, thank you.
Jess Klun offering up in the chat. Can't believe this. Are you all watching this game? The Dang are up, the Butts are down. I'm not happy over here. The Dang pulling it out. Not sure what that score is. If somebody wants to update me on the score in the chat. Again, I would have put all my money on the Dang. Would have put all my money on the Dang. Mine's Amori offering up. Robot voice or not, I still can't believe you've gone this deep into the broadcast without a single comment on Thick Nick Monroe. Only biggest news of the solstice. Did I have that news? Let's see here. I'm sure I do. Not sure if I do. Butts are down big, offering up the mines. Danger up big, says Toddy. Well, this is as good a time as any to let you know. Big Game Broadcast, of course, is brought to you by K-Scum Sports, the game day masters of sports radio. Join the team today at planetscum.live. If you're not part of the Planet Scum Discord server, you really ought to be. I'm going to take a moment here, and I want to just acknowledge and thank the fact that not only are we simulcasting on K-Scum Sports and K-Scum Radio, we're also on the Chris Gethard Presents Twitch page. And for anybody watching who is unfamiliar with Chris Gethard Presents, it's a weekly live comedy show every Wednesday night. Fantastic show. The entire archive of episodes is available on the Chris Gethard Presents YouTube channel. Got a lot of great episodes coming up in addition to the episodes that are up on that YouTube channel. I wanted to plug a couple of the episodes that we have coming up, so let's get right to it. This Wednesday, February 5th, we got Sam Taggart and Max Wittert doing Taggart and Wittert, Lawyers at Law. February 12th, Riley Soliner returns for a third installment of Klon. Then on February 19th, Nick Nanny and Sebastian De Natal are putting on a choose-your-own-adventure style show. February 26th sees the return of fan favorite Enchanted Pumice with Mary Houlihan. And then on March 4th, we have an episode coming up from John Bander and Katie Hartman. All great shows coming up Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern. Go to chrisgeth.com/live for more information. The update on the score is 14-4 Dang. That's honestly crazy to me. You can't see the Mud Butts putting up more to overcome that deficit. 14-4 Dang. You really do hate to see it. From a gambling perspective, I wonder if the Butts will still hit the spread, says the Minds of Moria. Not even sure if the Butts have it. A lot of people offering up their TiVoing the game. No spoilers. I'm sorry, if you're watching the Big Game broadcast, we can't do anything but report on the big game. You got to expect big game news on the Big Game broadcast. Want to go to a quick Twitter roundup. We've been talking a lot about TikTok today. There's plenty of news, other areas of social media. Got a big controversy coming out of Minneapolis. The Junk Habits tight front Carl Slipstick is suspended again, pending an investigation into a since-deleted tweet. Slapstick insists his account was hacked. I want to show you guys this tweet. Our journalists here at K-Scum were actually able to screenshot this before it was deleted. I want to show you this tweet and want to get your thoughts as to whether or not you think that this should inquire more penalties. Slipstick tweets, $5K money to whoever goes to the Jack in the Box on Main and 6 and punches the waiter John. Hashtag bad customer service. Hashtag never going back. This man was suspended 6 months last year for shoplifting. He's now got this on his name. It's since been deleted. He insists that he's been hacked. Whether or not you agree with his personality, that's one thing. But is this something worthy of further penalties from the junk habits? I want to know your thoughts. Give me a call now, 909-454-3862. Is Carl Slipstick in deep trouble here, or do you think that he's worthy of a third chance? Bruce Falco saying, didn't he say his Twitter was hacked? That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what we're reporting here. The unfortunate thing, though, is that this is pretty indicative of he's got a history of this behavior, is what I'm trying to say. He's a troublesome athlete. And you'd be hard-pressed to defend him, especially with, we're talking aggressive social media behavior. That's aggressive social media behavior. Somebody offering up in the chat, I was hacked is such a good cop-out these days. Carl made his bed, now he should lie in it. Absolutely. If he could provide technological evidence to prove that he was indeed hacked, I'd change my tune. But I happened to think, and I would put good money on the possibility that this wasn't a hacking, that this wasn't an innocent mistake, that this wasn't anything remotely accidental. This was intentional, and he's only apologizing now. He's only saying that he was hacked because he sees now that it wasn't acceptable. Toddy offering up the chat. Slapstick had that issue with the People's Drive-Thru dog boobs. We all remember that. Give me my bleeping fries. TMZ broke that. See, like I said, he's got a history of this behavior. People, I think, insinuating violence in the chat. $6K to anyone who goes to Slapstick's house and punches him, then goes and gives $100, a $100 tip to John at the Jack in the Box. A lot of defenders of John at the Jack in the Box probably should have censored that name for the safety of John and the anonymity. A lot of people saying this guy is trash. If you have any thoughts on the Slipstick controversy, give us a call, 909-454-3862. Bruce Falco offering up, I think he also said it was hacked last solstice after the hackers said he was going to burn down 3 Wendy's. This guy's got a heated history with fast food restaurants. Slapstick needs to grow up. I started a GoFundMe for John. Please don't link that in the chat. I can't have spam like that in my chat. Give John a medal. You know, if anybody wants to support this John at this Jack in the Box, I'm sure we could probably get his Twitter handle by the end of the day and let it out. Dog boobs. I'm gonna need some of my moderators to jump in on that GoFundMe link. Gonna need to take that down. We Are Trash People offering up. That's the kind of passion you need to succeed in the sport. We Are Trash People. Are you offering up that you think that sort of aggressive behavior is necessary? I wouldn't condone that sort of aggressive behavior. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the Big Game Broadcast brought to you by K-Scum Sports, the Game Day Masters of Sports Radio. Joined today at planetscum.live. If you're out there, give us a call, 909-454-3862. Mine's Moria offering up, I agree with the trash man. Oh, trash people. If you think that you need that sort of aggressiveness, you can. Don't condone that behavior, though. You can't say, we are trash people saying it's part of the game, but not that they don't condone it. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. I personally think that the team needs to investigate this. They were right in suspending him. It's an indefinite suspension pending the investigation. And after his shoplifting exploits last year, after his other incidents at Wendy's, highly publicized as well, he shouldn't be let back on that team unless he can convince somebody, convince the whole world that he's a changed man. He hasn't shown any remorse. Jess Klonoff rang up. This is what the JFL needs. This Twitter controversy is just good press. Grow up, y'all. Too much social media controversies. I would love to see some policies enacted where athletes are barred from social media, perhaps. Let the teams do the TikToking. Let the teams do the tweeting. Let them do all their stuff. These athletes just keep causing nothing but trouble. Some of them on the field, but a majority of the trouble always tends to be on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Spleamer. You just can't behave that way. And if you prove that you can't behave that way, then you should have your privileges revoked. Look, it's so part of the game that EA Sports put in the video game version, says We Are Trash People. That whole TikTok section of the new EA Sports game, they tried to have me come on to do some voiceover work for the new game. Once they showed me the TikTok side quest, I wanted nothing to do with it. They knew that about me too, and they refused to mention that in the negotiations that went on. Slipstick needs to take his rage to a higher gear in order to bring the Solstice ring to his team, says the Minds of Moria. Again, I don't think that I can condone this behavior. If anything, I would like to see him in some sort of rehabilitation, in some sort of program that resets some of this information. You know, reset some of this behavior. I've heard a rumor that you are visible in the next EA game. True or nah? Bruce Falco, again, we were in talks for me to be, for me to do some voiceover work for the new EA game. And we had the deal sort of all set and ready to go. It wasn't until I saw some of these elements. It wasn't just the TikTok side quest. It was some other elements, mainly associating a lot of the fan vitriol became elements of the game, and that's what it was really that they had a whole thing with Mudbutts fans that my voiceover was attached to. I wasn't comfortable with that. I told them I wasn't comfortable with that, and so I backed out. However, we had recorded a couple of demo. They're called crash tracks. We recorded a couple crash tracks that they put in to some temp files to show off. And that's in there. And because I'm in there, they have one of my promotional photos is also in there on the character select screen. Those files are on the disc because by the time that I backed out, the discs had to be burned. They took out all of my voiceover work. They took out any references to me, but it's burned onto the disc. So some hackers out there, if you go on to some of the subreddits, some people have found the files referencing my promo photo, some of the files of my voiceover. You can see weird isolated tracks of my voiceover. I don't want to get too much into it, but yes, you can, to answer your question, yes, you can see me in the new EA game. Want to go to another caller. Hello, caller, you're on the line.
Hi, my name's Jaron. My question's about Rutger Nuts on the Ottawa Dang.
Yes.
So for years, the touchback moonspell's kind of been his move. It's his strength move, and I know you and I are probably both looking forward to him using that at a champion ring round 7 this year. But if you'll remember at the 2018 Clyde Games, that move was made illegal. So I think a lot of people have been not keeping track of that. We're not going to see a touchback moonspell again. What do you feel about that?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think you're going to have to worry about it too much because, of course, Rutger Nuts hasn't played a game in 674 games. He's retiring at the end of the year. I don't know whether or not he's going to play in any of those games before the end of the solstice. So as far as any moves that he's previously used, it's a matter of whether or not somebody else is inspired by Nuts' career, because Nuts is likely not going to do another move the rest of his short remaining time in his career. Are you there? Nope. Looks like we lost the caller. But yeah, Rucker Nuts, I don't think you're going to see any issue with any of the questionable actions that he's done in the past. Going to another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is John from the Jack in the Box.
John from the Jack in the Box. From
yeah.
You're from Carl Slipstick tweeted about you?
Yes, that's me. My shift just ended, and I obviously took a look at my phone, and I've never had so many notifications. Or this is really kind of overwhelming and kind of sad, to be honest. I was a big Slipstick fan. He's a great player.
And forgive me, John. I just, I'm sure you're a Slipstick fan. I'm sure you're a fan of the Junk Habits. He's been a member of that team for a long time, but he's been ruled in some controversy. Were you still a fan of his through all of that controversy up until him coming to your Jack in the Box?
Well, yeah, I was hoping to clear the air a little bit.
What happened? What happened?
Kind of. Well, I want to say it. I'm sorry, I'm still just a little bit shooken up, but I want to say, first of all, I'm not a waiter. I am an assistant manager. So I was just hoping to clear the air about that. Slipstick came in, and we were short-staffed. It's not that's not an uncommon saying in these days leading up to the big game, and so I was taking orders. And he made some on the line, and I was trying to play it cool. And he ordered a number 4. That's a popular order. And I asked him if he wanted to get a large size, and I did say a big drink for a big boy, and I think that set him off.
So much that he would want somebody to go there and punch you for $5,000?
Yeah, well, things escalated pretty quickly, and the blood rushed to my head. But as far as I could tell, it was he kept saying, "I'm not a big boy. I'm not a big boy." And I was trying to say, Slipstick, you're the man. You're right. You're not a boy. You're a big man. But it was kind of too late, and there were some other customers. They kind of got involved. It was a really regrettable incident.
Now, so he insinuated some aggression towards you. Did you have any indication by the time that he left your establishment that he would basically put out a social media hit on you?
Absolutely not. It's very important to me that I stay focused on the job. So my phone was on silent, and so I turned it on at the end of my shift, and there were texts from family members and my mom. Are you all right? Is everything okay? And I actually didn't even know what was going on. So I'm in the car right now, just trying to make sense of this, and frankly, I'm a little scared.
Well, I think that the tweet has since been deleted. It certainly made its rounds, and a lot of our staff included were able to get the screenshot of it. Have you or your family contacted authorities at any point?
We have been in touch with the authorities, but I wanted to we've been in touch with the authorities, and I wanted to get on here and just try to clear the air and kind of shed some light on this situation, and I don't know what to do. I've been a junker for a long time, you know. I mean, I'm wild for those guys, and I mean, in addition to my own kind of personal safety, you know, I'm really worried about the team, because this is not, you know, this is the wrong time to be caught up in this kind of deal, the big game push.
No, certainly. I see that you can both be concerned for your safety, but then also concerned for your team, removing its star player heading into such a big round coming up. However, the man did solicit violence against you on the internet, so I hope you can understand that. I don't know if reports had gotten to you yet, John, but there is a GoFundMe apparently in your name of people trying to raise the same $5,000 for you.
Really?
People are trying to raise the $5,000 that Slipstick was offering for somebody to punch you. They're trying to raise that $5,000 to give to you.
That's incredible, but I want to let those people know I'm not a hero. I'm just an assistant manager at a Jack in the Box. I'm adequately compensated, and I do my job, and this is about the other guys on the team, you know, Tarlick and Frankman and Beethurst, and this isn't about me. And then while I am really kind of concerned and shaken up by the altercation, I don't want fans to lose sight of what's important, which is the big game.
Well, the rest of those players are going to have to step it up with the absence of Slipstick, but they are no strangers to that, since he has been suspended multiple times before. We'll wait to hear more reports as to where this ends up. But John, I think I can speak for our entire legion of viewers to say that we wish you well. We hope that this all, you move past this as quickly as possible, and we thank you for your call. Of course, great thought to call into this show to clear the air, because this is certainly your largest avenue of reaching the greatest number of people on the big game day.
Yeah.
John, any parting thoughts if you had to surmise your experience into a few words, what would you like everyone to leave this with?
Yeah, I want to say blessings, and I want to say, please do not let this incident do not let this incident affect how you view Jack in the Box. Just a fine establishment. The number 4 is still a very good meal. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for calling in. Well, there you have it. Exclusive from John at Jack in the Box. Hope John's well. Hope everyone can move past this as quickly as possible. And then I hope that Slipstick can take accountability for his actions. Mine's Maury offering up Jack in the Box. John, the hero we don't deserve, but the hero we need right now. Absolutely. Toddy offering up in the chat. Honestly, it sounds like the hypermasculinity that the JFL pushes. Slapstick gets called a big boy, and then he incites violence on the fast food assistant manager. There's a point there. And that's why I try to advocate against all this vitriol, is that when you have it, when you have it on social media, you are just condoning that sort of behavior outside of social media. You are condoning that behavior outside of the play track. 4's in the chat for John. Some folks were offering up some sports scores updates in the chat earlier. Touchdown J.J. Atwood, 21-4, dang up. It's hard to believe that we're talking at this point a 13-point difference. No, not that. Not that at all. 17-point difference between these two teams. I had a lot of money on the Butts. I thought this was their year. Sucked up a lot of my own pride to put that money down. But here we are, 12-4, Danger up. butts are down. My spirits are down. 21-11 is the update. Touch base from the Mudbutts, 7 more points. That's fantastic news. 21-11. You got to think 10 points for the Mudbutts. Not sure how they're going to get that within the next 40 minutes. Slipstick incident eerily similar to the one at a Big Boy restaurant where he was handed a kid's meal with a Jack-in-the-Box and lost his temper. The guy, Slipstick, has a temper problem. It's been recorded. And I just hope, again, that he seeks the help that he needs. Everyone believing in the Mudbutts in the chat. Let's go back to some more sports news. The Aberdash Squanders Club concluded its investigation into Louis Kneecap Kaplan's allegations of nepotism and the hiring of Southpaw Cal Jumplies, determining it was more likely that Jumplies was the victim of reverse nepotism. Kaplan announced he was just relieved to have this whole mess behind him so that the club can get back to what it does best, winning matches. Jumplies, this investigation goes back eons. This investigation goes back, last year I was reporting on it during the big game broadcast. That was when we first heard these allegations. They went on to a lengthy investigation, highly publicized, highly written about. Word out there was that the club owners were looking into these allegations seriously, but you could always tell that there was a bit of jealousy on Kaplan's part. He didn't think that that hiring was on board. But Cal Jumplies has since proven to be a worthy participant on the team. And nepotism or not, they've concluded that it was more likely reverse nepotism, but nepotism or not, Jumplies is providing more to the team than Kaplan is. And if you go just on spleemers and results alone, Jumplies is the best man for the job. We are Trash People offering up. It appears that the Minnesota Lighthouses plan to unveil a new logo as part of their attempt to rebuild post-dog lawsuit. A proposed redesign leaked, complete with Lighthouse's CEO Wells' handwritten note firing the designers. I believe that's in the Planet Scum Discord is the leak of that logo. So if you want to see that, you got to join Planet Scum, which you can do. Of course, big game broadcast presented by K-Scum Sports. The Game Day Masters of Sports Radio. You can join the team today. Join that Discord at planetscum.live. Join the Planet Scum Discord. Whole lot of fun stuff going over there. A lot of big game broadcast graphical elements leaking over there. So glad to see it. We are Trash People. Thank you so much. Dog Boobs offering up. If the Mudbutts focus on offense for the rest of the third jaunt, maybe another touch base and at least 2 foot goals, they might do it. They might freaking do it. If that's what it takes for them to pull off the win in today's big game, I would love to see it. They're in the middle of the third jaunt right now, so it's not even close enough to call yet anyone's game, to be honest. We've still got just under 40 minutes in that game. Hoping that they score. We are Trash People offering up. Score more butts. Third jaunt is crucial, says Minds of Moria. Game is over until the final jaunt has ended. We are Trash People. They still have this in them. I believe it if you believe it. Jumplies needs to be restrained, but that's just my opinion, says Jess Klon. That could very well be it. That could very well be it. He outperforms Kaplan at every turn. So I'm not exactly sure what Kaplan's problem is if the team is winning. If it results in the team winning, what else do you want? Nuts isn't playing right, like he hasn't been for 700 games. I believe it was 674 was the number. 600 and some. Nuts is still on ice as we are trash people. Got some more injury updates for you. Chris Sandstomp exclusively reports longtime Tennessee Hoggins fans will be happy to hear of Vince Blister's return to the crabgrass against doctor's orders. The matches are simply better with Blitzer back. This will surely send Lars the Dutch Crunch Maxwell back to the splintery bench, or perhaps he'll demand a trade to Tennessee's bitter division rival, the Kentucky Meat Sticks. Vince Blister, he's returning from shoulder surgery that took him out last year. And the games are simply better with him back. It's an exciting game. He plays an exciting game. He plays a style that is reminiscent of Titus O'Crowder. And Blitzer, the shoulder surgery, what had many concerned within the industry, myself included, is that in order to do the crossfades that he normally does, it requires a lot of shoulder work. Requires a heavy amount of shoulder work. And players, or true professionals, know this. They're in the gym constantly working their shoulders. And it was aggravated. His injury was certainly aggravated by his use of the crossfades during his physical rehabilitation. However, that's crucial to the success of his play. So I'm excited to see him back. I hope he doesn't pull another shoulder. Lars Dutch Crunch might be going back to the bench, might be going to another team, maybe the Kentucky Meat Sticks, but you'd hate to see somebody of his caliber slip through your fingers. If you're the Hogskins, you would hate to see Dutch Crunch Maxwell slip through your fingers like that. Lars the Dutch Crunch needs more respect. Totally agreed. Like, Dutch Crunch is no thick Nick, but he doesn't have to be. Meat Sticks were beat repeatedly this solstice. They are limp and I can't see them getting back in there. Certainly they don't qualify this year, but you'd think that they would qualify again. Somewhere down the line. Meat Sticks played hard but went limp at the end, says Dave Cohen. Well, maybe if they get Dutch Crunch, that might turn around their game. They certainly, I don't doubt that they would want Dutch Crunch. But the Hogskins better keep him in their team unless they want to play against him next solstice. Offering up in the chat, guys, I know it's a long shot, but PP on the Meat Sticks would change the game. That's actually a rather intriguing proposition. PP leaving the Mudbutts and going to the Meat Sticks would thoroughly change the whole dynamic of the league. Certainly change the dynamic of the division. You would look to the Hogskins to see what they might have got, how they might end in a trade like that. But the Meat Sticks would be in a good spot at that point. Now, and you hate to see it, news. This is just bad news, guys. Quick Stare prodigy Log Wood Sprinkler announces his sabbatical after failing to qualify for the MGL tournament this year. He posted the best time in the Quick Stare breakdown last year. Last year's MGL, he was not only the fan favorite, the judges' favorite. Boy, did those judges love him. And then after all was said and done, he leaves the MGL with the full potato. This year, he doesn't even qualify it. Can somebody explain to me how Log's Wood Sprinkler could fall from such grace? He wasn't in the right headspace. He must not have been in the right headspace to have not even qualified. Wood Sprinkler, haven't heard that name in a minute, says Dog Boobs. Certainly. No, we were all talking about, he was national news last year. National news last year's MGL tournament. This year, MGL's not usually covered, but he was a true underdog story last year. Now he is such an underdog. He is an underdog. He is a subterranean dog this year to where it doesn't even spark national intrigue. It doesn't even spark a hashtag. It doesn't even spark a national ad campaign. He just quietly leaves. Toddy offering up in the chat, Wood Sprinkler, all-time great. We all get old. It is sad. It's just age. If it is truly an age thing, then you'd be hard-pressed to see him in next year's MGL. I hope that doesn't mean that we won't see him. The problem, however, is that simply if he didn't have his head in the game this year, my hope is that he gets it in the game in the future. But the man just might be broken. So our thoughts are out to Log Wood Sprinkler. Hold my beer while I start GoFundMe for Wood Sprinkler. We can't start a GoFundMe for every member of... We can't start a GoFundMe for every person that comes up in the sports news today. Wood Sprinkler is coming back for one more. He won't go out this way, but it's going to take a lot of training. His bones are just old bones, says Toddy. You're right. It's a lot of conditioning. It's a lot of training. He should post a fairly good time in the quick stare breakdown if he puts in the conditioning for it. But that he's going to need to get a good coach. He's going to need to get a good training facility. He's going to have to join a camp. You have to join in the MGL at this point. You have to join a camp. I know he's been going out individually for a long time now, but you got to get a camp at this point. If he doesn't have a training camp, he will not get it. Huge touch base for Mudbutts. What does that bring the score to? Touch base is usually... Touch base is usually like a 7-pointer or so. It was a pivot by PP out there. 12-18. 12-18 brings up the game. We're going to go to another call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? I'll let this one go. I'll let this one go only because of the amazing touch base. Big shift. That brings it up. That's a close game. 21-18. They could bring it with a toe tap over. And this is probably the only 3 to 4 minutes that we get PP in the game. So it was really from the lack of PP Petit that saw the Mudbutts at such a deficit. If he can hold on, we're probably at. Does anybody know how long PP has been in the game? Because if it's under 4 minutes, we've got however much more time on us. If it's been over 4 minutes, we are at risk of PP getting injured. Pivot like that is as close as we can get to heaven on earth, says In the Court, Out of the Crab King. That's an athlete, says Dog Boobs. Running all over, says Dave Cohen. Mudbutts need to use PP now before he gets tired, says Mines Moria. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to know how much time PP has had on the field. Toddy offering up, you need to stop the broadcast and take a look at PV's pivot. Incredible move. Holy shit, are we seeing history, dog boobs? I unfortunately don't have the screens in front of me, so I can't watch that pivot until we're off air. I'll give that a look later on. MVPP offering up We Are Trash People. Hashtag MVPP. Love that victory lap too. He's so proud. PP must be having a very triumphant celebration right now. You'd have to, if the Mudbutts win, from the sound of how people are describing this game, if the Mudbutts win, PP Petite has to be MVP. If there's anybody that has an argument against that, I'd like to hear it. PP has got to be the MVP of this game should the Mudbutts win. Now, if the Ottawa Dang win, I don't know who's been performing well over there, but you'd have to think that Stan Tuffy Jackson, if he's been pulling out a performance better than his last, then you'd have to see him possibly going to MVP. J.J. Atwood is going to be the MVP if the Dang hold on, says Toddy. Good for J.J. Atwood. He was in need of a good outing today. He's their team assistant captain. Everyone's saying PP is really growing as an athlete. We Are Trash People offering up. PP's flow of play is strong. It's good a time as any to remind you guys. Big Game Broadcast, presented by K-Scum Sports, the game day masters of sports radio. Joining the team today at planetscum.live. Lawrence Lawless Lovins has been doing some work for the Dang, says ADA Grace 42. The Dang are really pulling it out. And you know, 21-18 is a small margin, especially with a little over 20 minutes left in this big game between the Mudbutts and the Ottawa Dang. PP is signing autographs in the fan snow cones. What a stand-up guy, says K to the aisle. Everyone's acknowledging that JJ is rising in there. We might be seeing a true upset today, folks. If the Dang were to win, we might be seeing the greatest comeback history in a single game. If the Mudbutts win, either way, you are guaranteed history in this game today. Really wish I could be watching it. Really, really wish that I could be watching it. I guess it's as good a time as any to go to the rumor mill. St. Louis Tumbleweeds Gary Sturcup was arrested at a Greenville Dairy Queen for alleged lewd acts. He's the starting catcher of the Tumbleweeds. This is further bad news for him. He tore both quads last year. This guy can't seem to catch a break. And the lewd acts, from what we're hearing, had to do something with an actual blizzard, and that no individuals were necessarily involved, but just what he had done with a blizzard was the most inappropriate. That's at least what KCSD Sports is reporting. But you know that their coverage isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Go ahead and say it. He put the blizzard on his quads to ice them down. I thought it wasn't a PC show. Oh, we're putting in a call. Let's just leave this in. Hello, caller.
Casey, leave a message.
Oh, nope. All right. We got voicemail. Foot goal by the Dang, up 3 points. Shit, says Dog Boobs. ADA Grace saying, hey, who among us hasn't gotten sad and desperate and made love to an ice cream treat? Listen, I'm not saying that this was necessarily... It was inappropriate. It's a lewd act. He was arrested. You'd be interested to see what the tumbleweeds do. A lot of news today has been about people being put on suspension or arrested or what not. It's inappropriate, whether or not a person was involved or just a blizzard. It's 24-18 now in the Mudbutts and Ottawa Dang game. Can't wait to see where that ends. If the Dang were able to get another touchback for 7 points, they'd win by a 1-point margin. Right? Am I calculating that right? So if it comes down to a touchback, you could see the Mudbutts winning. However, at this point, if the Ottawa Dang were able to score any more, I don't see the Butts having it. I see the Butts being stuck. They'd be clogged at the end if the Dang were able to score any more. Toddy offering up, the man has 2 torn quads. If he wants to put a frozen treat on them, it's his life. I'm sorry, just being honest. You know, and I'm sure that the police report will reveal where exactly the blizzard was placed. Maybe it was on the quads. Maybe he is still healing from that tear from last year. But it puts the tumbleweeds in a tough spot. They're going to have to investigate this. You can't just have a player arrested without some sort of repercussions. Well, it's not Blizzard's shame. It's 2020, people, says Red Bull gives me twitch. We need points to flow freely from the butt, says We Are Trash People. That's certainly true. If somebody could call up the Butts coaching staff and let them know that we could go for a real flow. If they could just stick it down the middle, get another touchback, they'll be in good shape. The real question in the Stir Cup story is, why did he have to be behind the counter to do it? I mean, that's certainly what went into his arrest, Dave Cohen. He was trespassing. And we'll find out more about these acts, but can't be good news for Stir Cup. How do you feel about PP's decision to trim his hair before the game? Would a shave have been better, says K to the Isle. I mean, you got to think that if PP's hair shaving or trimming or anything like that, if it allowed him to be more aerodynamic in order for him to be able to thrust further in for some of those touchbacks, that might have gone into his decision. That might have gone into his decision for any trimming. The shaving probably would, to your point, K to the Isle, the shaving probably would have afforded a little more aerodynamics. I haven't seen the trim job that he has on his hair, but it might have been in, there's some shapes that some of the players have associated with better aerodynamics, so some of that trimming might be in one of those shapes. Or he might just been going for a good look. He might have wanted to look great for the big game. He knows he's going to be on national TV. It's going to be a global event, and he knows that when the bright lights in the big game is up, he probably wants to look good, and I don't blame him. Apparently, there's worry of injury on the field in that Mudbutts Ottawa Dang match. Is PP out? The paramedics look shook. PP's down, but his pivot was instant history. Oh, you hate to see it. PP's down on the field, and you hate to see it. We knew that the threshold was 3 to 4 minutes for PP. From my calculations, we had at least been talking about him on the field for the last 20. So the defensive coach, Neb Grounder, probably made a call on the field, maybe in the track, and where he's been quoted as saying that there was this threshold, he probably decided better of it because of the performance in such a big game scenario, and we might be seeing the ramifications of that. I heard that the Dang were a little more intimidated by Pee-Pee after his shave. He looked bigger than before, says Joxy. Looks like the consensus is that he was tired, says Dog Boobs. Well, we knew it was a stamina issue. Good to hear that it wasn't a pulled shoulder, torn quads, any of these afflictions that some others have fallen to. I'm glad to hear that it was just a stamina issue. What we already knew about him. I would hate to hear that his pivot caused any sort of Achilles pull or some sort of tear, something that takes him out of action for 6 months. If it's truly that he's tired, he might just need a nap on the bench. And maybe, who knows, you give him a solid nap. We've only got about 15 minutes left in this game. Give him a solid nap, and maybe, just maybe, the guy finds himself a second wind. I don't know if a 2 to 8 minute nap would do much justice, but might be worth a shot. If I were the coach, that's what I'd be trying right now. Be reading him a little bedtime story, fanning him off. He's probably overheated. Give him a little fan off, make him comfortable on the bench. See if we can give him a quick power nap. Someone give PP some stimulants so he can get back in the game and win this for the Butts. I take the opposite approach. Mine's Amoria. Dog Boobs offering up from MVPP to RIPP. It's still 24-18. Keep us abreast of what's going on in that game. You could have guessed this would happen, says Jess Clun. PP always starts out strong and prematurely fizzles out. Let's give him some time to get back out there. Stadium's too loud for a nap, are my thoughts. They might have to do this without PP, says Toddy. It's going to be tough for the Mudbutts without PP, but I'm sure that they'll still be able to pull it out. They're down Squirt McDougal. Squirt McDougal's gone. Like, he's not even there. I think he's Turks and Caicos or something that he posted on social media. Dave Cohen saying, I heard PP threw up. He just needs a little break and then he'll be back out there. This is JJ's chance, though. JJ Atwood could prove to be the secret that the team needs. The Dang could pull out a spleamer. Red Bull gives me twitch. This leaves the field totally open for the Dang to pull a spleamer. I agree. JJ and the Dang look like they're going to do this. Hold out hope. We still got some game left in us. You could see this going any way. It's entirely too close. Before, that was not a close game. But PP turned that around. Brought the Butts around for prime positioning. And, you know, PP isn't the only member of the Mudbutts. There's a whole squad around there. If they can all just get their heads together, they could turn this around. They could do this. They could pull off the impossible. You wouldn't have thought going into this game that it was going to be a story of JJ versus PP, but here we are. JJ Atwood is the Dang's best chance, Dottie. That's absolutely true. He puts them ahead. I want to take your calls, 909-454-3862. If you have any other sports news that you'd like to talk about, feel free to give me a call, 909-454-3862. In the meantime, the Big Game broadcast is, of course, brought to you by K-Scum Sports, the game day masters of sports radio. Join the team today at planetscum.live. You're going to want to join that team. You're going to want to join Planet Scum. There's a lot of great people over there. A lot of people tuning in for the Big Game broadcast. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you all spending your big game day with me. I know a lot of you concurrently watching the big game, and I do appreciate you keeping me informed. Stinkbug Jackson should shoot the J, says Dog Boobs. Stinkbug is a sleeper name. Stinkbug Jackson, I'd love to see more of. You just don't see him that often. Let's see here. I got some more sports news for you. The Chicago Hall Monitors' Wally Tumbles makes league division history as the first center pusher to do a big run, then slide run in 6 below 0. That's truly impressive, coming from a center pusher the size and stature of Wally Tumbles. He's truly an impressive player. I'd love to see him on more teams. He has the statement in his contract that says he can play for multiple teams if he so chooses. He's just with the Hall Monitors at the time being. Love to see him on more teams. He's such a fantastic player. He signed an 8-year contract extension last year with the Hall Monitors for $37.23 million. And again, that contract leaves him open for playing for other teams in other sports. And he's great on the Hall Monitors. I'd love to see him play on the Lighthouses. I'd love to see him play at Tampa. The dynamics with Tumbles on any team would really put somebody over the chance. Stinkbug is a one-trick pony. He's fine, but he's not what's going to win it for the Mudbutt, says Toddy. JJ's going for a run, it looks like, according to Dog Boobs. Can somebody explain to me why the Hall Monitors can get away with being so nasty to other teams, says Jess Glenn. Listen, they are a case of a nasty team. They are the case of a nasty team with great players on it. And the Hall Monitors have a reputation. That's probably why they tried to lock down Wally Tumbles for 8 years. He's a good guy. If I were part of the Hall Monitors, I'd want to turn around the reputation of the team, and Tumbles is exactly who you build a team around. So 8 years for the Hall Monitors is probably their way of trying to turn that around from being so nasty. We all want Pee-Pee, that's obvious, but while he's down napping, I think Stinkbug can keep the butts in the bowl, says Mines Moria. JJ apparently went for a big run, but no cigar, says Dog Boobs. The Hall Monitors have the best passes, says Red Bull gives me twitch. Must have been a spleamer. Who scored that spleamer? Somebody needs to inform me in the chat. JJ Atwood is going to steal this for the Dang. He's been too good. The Mudbutts defense can't answer. Old as heck, Harry Barnes isn't going to do much here. The Dang are going to potentially tip this out. Not sure if we're quite ready to call it yet, but the Dang are still up 24-18. There's word of a spleen on the field. Wonder if that has anything to do with the ruckus I'm hearing in the other room. Oh, Stinkbug scored another spleamer for the Mudbutts, so that brings us up to 25-24? I thought a spleamer was 7 points. A spleamer would impact the score by making it 25-8 where were we at? Yeah, 25-24. 25-24 Mudbutts, is that what we're looking at? If what Chad is telling me is true, then the score is now 25-24 Butts. Toddy's confirming it right now. They must be saying it on the. They must be showing it on the screen on the big game itself. 25-24 Butts, with only 6 minutes remaining in the game. Holy cow! Is this for real? With 5 minutes left in the game, we didn't think it was possible at the beginning, folks. We didn't think it was possible. I went in thinking the Butts would win. Turns out they are winning, but from a big deficit at the beginning of this night. Mudbutts truly winning the game today. 5 minutes to go. You'd be hard-pressed to think that the Dang have anything left. If it was something worth 2 more points or more, the Dang could have this. But the Mudbutts seem to have this on lock with 5 minutes to go in the game. The Butts are pulling it out, says Jess Klon. This was all J.J. Atwood. These guys are savage. Looks like our stream is slowly dying towards the final minutes of the big game broadcast. PP looks like he's ready to re-enter the game, but do you take out Stinkbug after the spleen, says the Mines of Moria? You would probably at this point tell PP to sit. Don't need PP at this point. Stinkbug is holding down the fort. How does Muddy Logs feel about the Sponges moving in next door now that he's coaching the Squids? You know, Muddy Logs, he's pro bono coaching for the Squids, so he has no jurisdiction there outside of his pro bono coaching. If he were put on in a more permanent basis, that's what I'd want to see of his thoughts on the Sponges. PP is coming back in an ambulance, says Red Bull gives me twitch. They keep cutting away from PP sleepy time cam. I think he's almost ready, but I gotta agree, says Bruce Falco. PP is possibly back. Ambulance is speeding onto the turf. That is certainly against protocol, but in such a circumstance for such a big game, I'd allow it. There's an ambulance on the sidelines, and it looks like PP is coming out of it for the last couple of minutes of the game. This big game has been something else. This game has been full of events. Toddy, Mines of Moria, thank you for keeping me updated on what's going on in this game. Don't envy the coach for making this call. Certainly not. You got to think that Neb Grounder is livid right now. He was probably making the call, telling PP to sit back, that his time was done, that there was no more need for PP. I'm sure Ned Grounder had to forcibly restrain PP Petit. The referees need to consent before he can be let back in. K to the aisle. These referees, they better do their job. They better let him back. Because you know this game with 3 minutes to go and PP, Mudbutts are already in the lead. Just let him play. If he passes out at this point, I don't see the Ottawa Dang pulling this out. Looks like they're enthusiastically consenting right now. This is next level, says Dog Boobs. PP's got to finish his hospital-sanctioned jello, then he's back in, says Red Bull gives me twitch. Dog Boobs offering up. You're so right. This is a monumental game. As I said, you are guaranteed history going into this game. Well, not going into this game. Mid-game, you're guaranteed history. Either the Mudbutts were going to come back from a huge deficit, unheard of, to win a game, or the Ottawa Dang were going to overcome all the adversity and beat the Mudbutts. We didn't think going into today that the Dang even had a chance. But by half point, the Dang were the clear favorites with a huge lead over the Mudbutts. But over time, the Butts could not be denied. And the Ottawa Dang have put on a triumphant outing today. It's just that they just couldn't hold up to the butt. PP always finishes, says the Mines of Moria. Bruce Falco says, can the team help with the jello? It's a lot this year. Dave Cohen offering up, PP has faced a lot of barriers lately, but that's not going to stop him. Looks like everyone's pitching in on the jello, says Dog Boobs. Glad this is allowed. The crowd is getting wild. Did you see that child that went flying? That had to be a Butts fan, says Jess. Hope they can really finish that jello within the next minute or two of gameplay. You got to think that the Dang have to be upset with this delay of play. Joxy offering up, Bryson, can you remind us about the controversy over the new trophy that the winning team will take? Well, you see, the big game trophy is this year, it was unfortunately cast in a shape that was supposed to evoke the memory of Titus O'Crowder. The problem is that a lot of people say that the O'Crowder seal that is on the trophy has a bit of for lack of better words, and I don't want chat here. I don't want this to go too blue, but it was rather phallic, is the crest of the O'Crowder family. I've known the O'Crowders for a long time. This has been their crest for hundreds of years. And unfortunately, a lot of people on Twitter took it there. And I'm a little upset because it besmirches the memory of Titus O'Crowder. I don't see what other people say with this imagery on the trophy. I think it's a fine trophy. It looks beautiful. But the Titus O'Crowder Cup, which is what the trophy is now called, it's just simply an element on the seal. Unfortunately, looks a little phallic, apparently. Apparently, JJ's knocking over the Jello bucket. JJ Atwood, the dang sidelines, just watching the clock run out. What a shocking comeback by the M-Butts, says Toddy. O'Crowder was a pillar of the community, says Dave Cohen. Absolutely. Died of a ski accident last year. A lot of great memorials coming out of O'Crowder over the past year, rightfully so. JJ tossing handfuls of Jellos at the butts. What is he doing? Say some folks. Well, that's an unfortunate end to an otherwise exciting game. The game just ends with an entire winning team eating Jello so that a team member can come and join the game that has already concluded. It's a wonder why they're even eating the Jello at all if he's not going to actually play. The game's done. The game was done 2 minutes ago. Game's over. Congratulations to the Mudbutts, big winners of the big game today. And congratulations to me coming home with a little nice package of winnings from my good calls on the gambling track. Sorry to the Ottawa Dang. Impressive outing, I'm sure, but the Dang just didn't have what it took to take the butt. Ottawa not leaving the field, what a scum. Hate to see something like this, says Toddy. A lot of people chanting Mudbutts. And in fact, at the end of that game, that's also the end of our broadcast, unfortunately. Again, I want to let you know, Big Game Broadcast is brought to you by Planet Scum and K-Scum Sports, the game day leaders of sports radio. Join the team today at planetscum.live. I want to thank everybody for watching the Big Game Broadcast. I want to thank our Think Tank contributors and our visual effects team. We'll do that right after this quick break. Big thanks to our Think Tank contributors, Bryce, Casey, Aaron, Ian, Kaylee, Kaylin, Lynn, Robin, and Seth. Big thanks to the Big Game Broadcast visual effects team. That's Seth, Dave, and Jess. Also, big thanks to all of the staff here at K-Scum Sports and K-Scum Radio. Been a very welcoming home for me. I want to thank all the trash people over at Planet Scum. Again, you can join the Discord, Planet Scum, at planetscum.live. Highly recommend it. Good group of folks over there hanging out all the time. And be sure to catch Chris Gethard Presents Wednesdays at 11 Eastern on chrisgeth.com/live. More information about the show in general can be found at chrisgeth.com/live. I want to thank everybody for participating in the chat. Looks like K-Scum isn't even allowed in our chat to be said, but appreciate that, Dog Boobs. Thanks for saying stay on K-Scum. We'll stay here as long as K-Scum will have me. Until next big game, I appreciate y'all. See you then.